in guidance for the greater good. Allowing our spirit guides, our ancestors, and the divine to provide whatever messages they have for us. Again, this is the Sacred Creator Oracle deck. I'm just doing a quick shuffle. If one card pops out, I'll keep it, but when it's a fumble like that, I tend to just add them back in. So there's been a ton of energy in August, July too as well. We went through the Lion Gates portal at the beginning of the month. We are in the 8th month of the year. There was a ton of Leo energy. Venus has been in retrograde. We've just entered Mercury retrograde. So there's a lot of things. And then all of this is combined with, we had a super moon at the beginning of the month, and now coming in the next week, this is the tail end of August and we're going into September, we have the full moon in Pisces, which is the blue moon in the month, which happens at least once a year, and that's pretty common, but that's when you have two moons, a full moons in a month. And so we have, what do we have here? External validation and find your sacred flow. Wow. So the past 2 months, especially in Leo, we've been having a lot of energy asking us to step into our own power and to tap into our authenticity and approach it with daring, because it is so important that we get the ball rolling and start taking steps. We've been building and growing so much in our personal gardens, around boundaries and around nurturing ourselves and creating a really good self-care practice. And so for me, what I'm sensing with this is we do often need external validation, right? But when we get so caught up in that, magic happens when you most expect it. Okay? Interesting. And I feel like that this comes in, you know, we're being encouraged to find our sacred flow. And don't worry, I'll share these up close with you later. We're being asked to find our sacred flow and step into it, but that doesn't mean that we need to step onto the path without preparation. Yes, to dare and to be courageous. Remember, we're not supposed to be fearless in this. We're supposed to have courage and have daring as we do this. Otherwise, we might not get out of our comfortable zone. Limitations inspire innovations. I love that card together with that. So I usually pull 6. Your past supports your future, absolutely. And let's go for one more. So within the sacred flow and the daring and everything, we can often get stuck in trying to make sure we're doing things the same way that everybody else is, that and that we're seeking external validation for what we're doing, and we need to be very, very careful about that. And the final card was celebrate your wins, and that's super important with that. I'm going to flip the camera around and invite you into the space and get a little bit cozier with the cards and sort of start my unpack. But yeah, to begin with, being cautious of only seeking external validation is super, super important in this. So yeah, let's check out these cards. All right. So here are our 6 cards for the month of September. These 2 popped out at the same time, and then these popped out while I was talking. We have external validation, find your sacred flow, and magic happens when you most expect it. Limitations inspire innovations. Your past supports your future, and celebrate your wins. So let's unpack what all of that means for the month of September. So we already started talking about these 2 cards, the external validation and find your sacred flow. And those are super important because, external validation is good, and that's really ties into the celebrate your wins, because oftentimes we get so stuck in constantly grinding. It's within burnout culture and some of the things that are discussed on some of the podcasts I listen to, they talk about how we get to a point where this, like, working is a coping mechanism, but we're also chasing the dopamine that comes with creating, things and doing new things and everything like that. But we're seeking external validation and to prove that we're good enough a lot of times. And when you are in burnout, dopamine's like a drug, and the more you attack it and the more you play into it, in other words, doing more and more and more work, you stop getting that hit of having a job well done, right? So it's important within that to remember that external validation, like collecting reviews and, writing in your journal when you have a very prosperous or successful event or progress in your healing journey or something like that. It's so important to write those down and keep track of them. Celebrate your wins. That was one of our big cards, our final card, in fact. So we are moving into, we've had a taste of it. We're going into the harvest. That was a lot of the themes in August that we were experiencing. But within September, we start moving toward the autumn equinox, and that is the true time of sitting in our abundance and practicing gratitude for what we have experienced and what we have seen come to fruition in our life, right? So the finding your sacred flow is inviting you to be yourself, but not forget how important it is to make sure that you're, when you do receive external validation, to accept it with gratitude and not try to downplay it. We very often try to downplay any of our wins, and we need to get out of that, certainly. And, this can serve as a warning. Maybe you are seeking too much external validation. And I think that that's a little bit of it, within this stuff, within the card spread we've got here. But what it's paired up with is there's success coming. There is, you've been working hard. Magic happens when you most expect it. If we don't get the ball rolling, and start doing things, even if we're taking imperfect action, we're not going to get anywhere. And that's that preparation tidbit. You know, manifestation is tricky, and within that, you know, prayer and manifestation and everything, there's so many debates about how all of that works and, you know, what should be practiced and stuff like that. And there's all steps to it. Prayer is one of it. Working with the divine is another one. Asking for help, you know, from your community, from your mentors, from the divine is so important within the manifestation. So therefore, prayer is a vital part of that. But without, you know, that's more of a passive manifestation. You're putting it out into the universe. Awesome. Grade A on that one, right? But without inspired action, you don't know when the magic is going to happen. But once you start taking the inspired action within manifestation, then you know when to expect magic to happen. And if we are living in the present moment and we are practicing from a very earth-centered, grounded manner and from the heart, we can expect magic in every moment, right? We can expect abundance and fulfillment in every moment because we have built it into our lives. So then we have limitations, inspire innovations. This is one of my favorite cards, especially as a creator. And this applies to all creation. You know, a lot of times we can go through paralysis because we have too many options. And when we limit ourselves to a single technique, a single color, a single period of time, or, you know, have a flashback from, you know, this one little bit of time from your life and create artwork or music or something from that. Taking and putting parameters on yourself is super important as a creator, because at times we have all the possibilities stretching out in front of us, and that can create that internal conflict of not knowing where to step forward and what to start doing. And so I encourage you to start limiting what you're offering or what you're doing, because then the true core of what you are developing or you're wanting to add more into your life will start revealing itself. And it's often within the simplest things that we start having those innovations come through, the inspired innovations, right? I love having a ton of tools in my tool belt, certainly, but again, it leads to that creative paralysis. And, you know, it's like trying to throw everything but the kitchen sink into a pot of stew or something like that. You know, sometimes it's important to just keep it to the minimum. You know, that's why Japanese cooking is so culinarily, I think I just made up a word. It's so simple. The ingredients are so simple, but because they are layered and there's so much care put into them, it creates this magical food experience in your mouth, right? And it's just, you know, say a simple soup could be chicken broth and ginger and maybe a little bit of garlic or a black mushroom or something. That's super simple. It's not this huge, you know, within French cuisine and stuff, you have these layered herbs and complex flavors and stuff like that. And that's wonderful, but it's very rich and heavy. Whereas when we take and simplify, we capture this core essence of what we're supposed to capture. So maybe you're out here and you're, trying to do all the things, and it's time to reel in a little bit. And that goes into your past supports your future. It's super important to remember that our life happens for us and not to us. And within that, your past experiences were lessons for you to take into the future. And then, you might not understand why you experienced a loss or a certain pain or something in your life. And there will come a time that you experience where you're actually having to apply that, whether it's teaching someone else, your kids perhaps, someone in your community, a sibling even, a coworker. It could just be that, hey, I've experienced this red flag too many times with, certain people that's come into my lives, and I know to start avoiding it, that kind of thing. And within that, also don't forget to celebrate your wins, right? Because those past events, maybe we weren't celebrating what was happening in our lives as much. We got into this monotonous state. And, being able to celebrate those good things that have happened, those foundation steps that have happened, will ultimately guide you into making better choices in the future. And one of those things is, living from abundance and making sure that you're practicing self-care and stuff like that. So that is your intuitive card reading for the month of September. And I would love to hear how this aligned with you, how this felt in congruency with you. Feel free to message in the comments or reach out in a private message. I'm more than happy to connect. And yeah, these were very, very touching to me for sure from the get-go, because these are all things that I'm experiencing as well, and that often happens when you're reading. So I hope you found some little gold nuggets in that. Remember, for certain reasons, external validation can be good, and we should accept it and be grateful for it. And it's all part of finding the sacred flow. So have a wonderful and blessed September, and I'll talk to you later.